I think that question, who am I, might be like the meta, like
Yeah.
the baseline question of How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah.
Like, who am I? And he couldn't meet the woman he was supposed to be with until he knew who he was. So I think that's part of the journey of it, you know?
Would you say that is a true statement for most men?
Again, I'm wary of anything overly prescriptive.
Yes.
For me, it's a true statement.
Uh-huh.
But I know I have a lot of friends who got married in their 20s. And I know a lot of women who got married in their 20s who they told me all the stuff that I spent the last, decade or two figuring out in relationships, out of relationships, they had to figure out under the umbrella of marriage, right? So, you marry someone at 25 or 27, at 37, at 42, at 48, like you're a different person.
Yeah.
And the question is like, are you growing at a rate commensurate with your partner's growth? Are you growing in the same direction? Have you heard that thing, like everyone gets 3 marriages and if you're lucky, they're to the same person?
I haven't, but that's great.
Yeah, isn't that cool?
That's really good.
Yeah.
I think in part, that's why I actually waited so long to get married. I mean, I guess I wasn't so old, but I think...
You weren't old for a big city, but maybe for like
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in a small town, it was like 30,000 people.
Yeah.
I guess small-ish. But I was 35, you know? And I think for, marriage rates, they're getting older and older and older, and people are having children later and later and later. And I think for me I actually felt this kind of responsibility to like get my shit together before I entered into that large of a commitment.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of men that I've talked to over the years feel a similar sentiment of like, should I give myself to a commitment that's that large without really having a more full and broader scope of who I am? Or at the very least, give myself time to like mature into who I might be.
Yeah.
And that doesn't always need to be the case, but...
I had this talk with Ben Lee, who I've made a lot of music with, an Aussie songwriter. And he would say, when guys would say, like, I want to get my career settled before...
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah. And he said, every Fortune 500 CEO, like, was married when they, like, got their first loan for their business.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, it's not like they were at the top of their game and then found their partner. I mean, maybe some of them, but by and large, I feel like the right relationship can be rocket fuel on your life.
I agree.
I
agree. My life has definitely gotten a lot better.
Yeah, and I think it makes things... It's kind of like, I don't have any kids, but like, I know my friends who've had kids, the first time they hold that baby... There was someone on your podcast that was talking about that. I forget who it was, but they were saying like, when I held my child and I realized, like fucking around time is over.
Yeah.
Like I got to get real serious about everything.
Yes.
And I think it can be a call to step into a deeper, more actualized version of yourself if you realize that you're not living for yourself anymore, whether it's a partner or a child. But this stuff has taken me a lot longer than it's taken other people. I'm 48, I'm with someone. I'm going to stay with her. But it's taken me a while, and I think there was some sort of meta weirdness of being asked to model this search for so many people. And I never, like, God forbid, I never told anyone I loved them on the first date. I was like, my joke is like, people say, I got to try not to get married on the first date. I had to try not to get divorced on the first date because I was always looking for like what was wrong. That was how my mind worked. And that's something I've had to work through.
And was that looking for something that was wrong? Was that a byproduct of childhood? Was that something that happened because of dating? Or
sure.
Just like
everything.
Yeah.
I think ultimately I had to accept the fact that there's something in me that wants to be alone, that wants to push people away, that wants to find... I would make a case against people. I always knew where the exit signs were, And this is stuff I really actually needed some help with. Like it was right when I ended How I Met Your Mother, and I I was right about to turn 40. And I was like, I have no idea how to be in a relationship. I had one relationship that lasted 3 years in my 20s. And I had a series of year-long relationships, but a lot of times just being single and kind of on the hunt, and there was something about turning 40, I was just getting sad. Like there was a sadness that was coming, and I realized men who don't look at this shit, like really look at it and curb some of that behavior, it just doesn't age well.
Yeah.
And I was so scared of being just the older guy in the bar when the lights come on, and I'm like trying to take home some younger girl, and I'm like, what am I doing?
Right.
And I just didn't. So I always felt like there was something, like why have like all my high school friends except one, like why have they all figured this out? Like why they all figure that out? Like I didn't know. Was there a day in school I missed where they explained like this is how you like have like long-term committed relationships?
Yeah.
And I but it was crazy because I'm really good at friendship. You
are. I agree.
I'm really good at being vulnerable and talk. Like I had a skill set that should have been good for this,
like
kind
transferable
of thing.
Over to
and
but they are different beasts.
They are different. I mean, friendship is a component of a romantic sexual relationship, but it's not the whole deal.
Yeah,
but I something in me was like, I need help. So I reached out. I actually got some help. I stopped dating for a time.
The vag vacation.
Yeah. I just got real, like, I started to look at the parts of me that were defeating or just didn't, because there was a point where I was like, do I want to be in a relationship? Like, maybe I'm just like a confirmed bachelor. Like maybe I'm, that used to be a code for something else, but maybe I'm just someone who will have a series of relationships and that will be my life and I'll have, but I did want to do it, There's a thing of like, I'm really interested in life. I'm really interested in experiences. Like, I've never done that. Let's do that. No, I don't want to do everything. There's certain extreme sports I have no interest in.
I see like the people going through the small crevices in the cave, like 400 feet underground.
No, I don't. No interest. No interest.
Pay me.
No, none of that. But in terms of like life checklist of, not like quite a bucket list. It's not like, have to go to the Amalfi Coast or whatever, right, which I would love to. But it's more like the big things. And I had all these relationships that were really exciting, really cool people. I had, I would only be in a relationship with someone if I thought they were great. But it was like, I couldn't take that next step. But I started to look and say, okay, I've had all these experiences. I've had all this professional success. But the thing I really haven't done is gone super deep and said, I'm here and I'm not going anywhere. One thing I loved that Martin Shaw said, he might have said it on your podcast or might have said it on another one, but he said, men around soul work, at some point we have to trade growth for depth.
Yes. And,
that just landed on me so much. Like at some point I just didn't want to amass, like I said, I'm not interested in stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I would like my career to keep, blooming. But I always wanted, a friend of mine really lovingly reflected back to me. He said, I feel like when you're at a crossroads, even if it's at the 11th hour, you always break towards depth, And it's true. Like I want to feel that my life is more about depth than growth, or, to take another analogy, it's kind of like, I don't need to own all the land, but I want to be a good steward of the land I have. I want to till it. I want it to be fertile, and I want to. So I'm in the process of getting more of that clear of what my land is, and how to be a conscious gardener of it. But it's taken me a while.
I think that is. I'm with you that. Whenever my life has presented me with those inflection points, that I have had a predilection towards just like a desire to move deeper.
Yeah.
And I've never really known what it was or where it came from. And maybe I never will, and maybe that's not the point.
Yeah.
But that has been a part of my North Star.
Yeah.
Because I've seen what the ascension-oriented growth obsession has done for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And when I've pursued that, I've actually never really felt fulfilled.
Yeah.
I've never felt satiated.
Yeah.
And it can be really exciting. I can really get into that part. And I always feel this tension between this part of me that's just like, go for the growth, like go after, build things as big as possible and do whatever the fuck it takes.
Yeah.
And I have that living within me, but there's this other sort of like hand on the shoulder that just says, go slow, go low.
Yeah.
And that, whatever that is, whether it's my grandfather or the older mentors that I've been so blessed to have in my life, that voice is always there and I've always listened to it. It's like I've been fortunate enough to have some elder thing in my life that's pulled me more towards that depth.
Yeah. I think it's probably, we never talked about it directly, but I think it's probably part of our connection is an attraction to that depth.
Yeah.
I will say also that another kind of poison kind of thing that's laced into success and fame and money is that no one asks you to drop this stuff. No one says, like, you're allowed to stay in a suspended adolescence much longer if you have that stuff. Like, and to me, I kind of felt like I wasn't busted. I turned myself in. I was like, you got to get me off the streets,
So when you say no one asks you to drop that stuff, what are you referring to?
I mean, being unmarried and struggling with relationships at 40 in Hollywood, successful.
Right.
I don't know. Like maybe some people might say, like, what's going on with that guy? But most, by and large, people don't.
Yeah.
And you can hide out there for a long time. And it's not even any sort of slam against any. I was that person. Like I just knew that the life that felt like my heart was yearning for was I just had to drop a lot of that stuff. And I had to say, I think that the part of an adolescent idea is I can have everything.
Mm-hmm. No limitations.
No limitations. So part of my addiction kind of template was variety and options.
Yeah.
I wanted all options.
Yeah.
I wanted to be able to date every woman that I was interested in. I wanted to live every possible storyline. And I think part of my growing up was acquainting myself with the truth that getting older is a huge part of getting older is loss. That there is that I recorded this album in Nashville that's going to come out later this year and it's called Eulogy. And the reason I called it Eulogy is because each song is like this mini funeral for this part of me that served me up to a point and then has to be kind of retired and buried. And also kind of kissed on the forehead and honored. Like, I don't want to say these parts weren't, they helped me get across the river, right?
You're not going to have like the angry Jewish funeral.
No, I mean, why do that? Why do that?
Yeah.
But I felt, just acquainting myself with the inevitability of loss, like grief and loss. And to say, I was just talking to a friend of mine who has now a 10-year-old kid. And he said, there's a part of me that I could miss the like baby or the toddler, but then I'd miss this cool 10-year-old that I'm living with, right?
Yeah.
Like, but there's grief in people getting older. There's grief in our getting older. There's grief in, I'm choosing to be with this one person. That means I'm not going to be with these other people. I'm not going to live these other lives. But at the same time, if I just stay in the world of options and variety, there's grief in not going deep and not having that soul expansive experience.
Yeah.
So I think that in some ways you have to choose, like, are you interested in growth or depth? I end up making even career decisions. I'm always like, I should have said yes to that thing that was more growth oriented. But I was like, but I didn't think it was good. It's like, well, but it was a big hit. You should have done it. You know what I mean? Like, but I end up, I almost feel like I had this very big mainstream success, but my heart is like an indie artist who kind of like really just tries to choose integrity at every turn. But I think you don't. I don't think it's so binary. I don't think you have to have. There's certainly
they're not exclusive.
No, there's certainly great artists that seem to be in their integrity, and people find them, and I would love more of that.
Yeah.
But I do feel like I'm constantly that is the question: growth versus depth for me in this moment. If I'm weighing a decision.